Hello, everybody. This is Mike from the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. My wife Beth and I would like to invite you to join us each week as we examine life at the intersection of marriage, family, careers, and ministry. Through 28 years of ministry, 26 years of marriage, 23 years of professional careers, and 21 years of being parents to 3 kids, our fun and honest discussions promise to have something for everyone. And now, on to the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Hey, Are You Still There podcast. This is the podcast that almost did not happen, mainly because Beth is technology challenged.
I am not technology challenged. I don't know why you're saying that.
Her and Josh are about to take a trip, and so she was trying to log in to one of the major airline apps. And you tell us, why couldn't you, Beth?
I don't even know. I mean, I'm so overwhelmed by it because we'd forgotten the password, and it was just this whole
Who is we?
Me. I forgot the password. So then we had to reset it. But then
Let's just dial this back. You forgot the password.
Why do we have to talk about this?
Because in your phone, you have, I guess in one of the apps, you've written down not passwords.
No, coded messages to myself.
Your own personal hints.
Yes.
At
what a password would be. Because that way, if my phone's hacked, because now they just said Facebook's been hacked, Apple's been hacked, all these passwords have been hacked. So that way, if I'm hacked, they're only going to see my coded messages to myself. I thought this was really smart. I mean, it's a little different than like when, people would put the password on a piece of paper. So it would be like if I put a coded password in case somebody got it.
I don't think anybody's going to break into your phone and try to find a password for an airline site.
Well, you don't know. I'm just
What
saying,
are they going to get out of that?
They could book a lot of flights with if I have a saved credit card there, or they could do identity theft maybe and find my stored passport information.
All right.
There's all sorts of things that could happen.
There are certain things that happen in our lives that I think are mile markers for age.
That's one. Okay, you're going to make me. I do not think
that is. We go to our parents' house, and I'll just say my parents, for example, and they have a notebook hidden, maybe even in a safe, where they have every website and every password written down, and because they've never used, number one, the same password for anything because they're afraid they're going to get hacked, and then they're on all these sites, and so they had this great fear of hackers. And now you're at the age, maybe because you're post 50, that you're now scared of hackers.
Okay, you're trying to bait me.
I'm not trying to bait you.
Let me just tell you, can I explain? I have been like this forever because one of the things, I remember when I started work where I worked back in 2006, our head of IT security and I had to work together on like a litigation hold policy and some other policies. And I remember he was just like, basically you have no privacy. And we talked a lot about internet security and stuff. So I've been like
How
this
old was
since
this guy?
He was my age.
So he's old too.
No, in 2006 we were not old. That's what I'm saying. Like, I have been this way forever. This is not something new.
But I'm telling you, listeners, first of all, we needed to do the podcast today because Beth's leaving. And Beth was like, I'm going to be done by a certain time.
Packing, which is very stressful.
We've already gone over that in one of the previous
I'm trying to
episodes.
carry on.
Go back and listen.
Trying to
It's
carry on
maddening.
everything. Yes.
So Beth was about 30 minutes late. She said, I'll be done by 4. It was like 4:30. She said, all right, I'm done. Let's do this. And then she spent the next 20 minutes trying to figure out this password into this app. And I was like, come on, let it go.
That was not the whole problem. Part of the thing is, I don't know why Joshua didn't have it saved. He's flown before on this airline. And so I don't understand. This is something that irks me. why on earth does Apple say, hey, use this for your password? GQLTNC2765 exclamation star.
Now you just gave everybody our password, Bev.
No, but they'll say, use that as your password and let us remember it. Okay, well, anytime the app updates or anything resets, it doesn't remember the password. It makes you put it in again. And then I'll set up Face IDs because I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to use Face ID. Anytime the app updates, you get a new phone, or just like I said, the app itself updates for some reason, it will reset and it won't take my biometric login. It will make me put in the password. How is anybody going to remember those crazy long passwords they give you? It just drives me insane. We're just getting to a point, the whole password thing's very stressful. And I have to change my password like at work and things. And so that's the other thing. I've just had to do these things. I guess I'm programmed to be this way because of working in sensitive areas where we have to do these things. We have to have training on it. We have to change our passwords often. So I'm just careful about it.
I'm going to stand by my belief that it's user error.
Okay.
Let's rewind earlier today. You messaged me all in a hizzy because your Apple Watch, here you go, blaming Apple right now. Your Apple Watch is not charging.
Yes.
And then you're like, I even tried it on your charger and it wouldn't work.
No, it did work on yours.
Well, no. You said it did not. And so I came home later and I saw your watch on my charger being charged and it was fully charged. So obviously I knew then my charger works. So then Josh comes in. He said, Mom wants me to test this cord because she don't think it's working.
Well, because my phone didn't charge either last night.
He goes over and says immediately, now this is a 15-year-old kid who is oblivious to everything in the world right now in this point in life. He looks down and says, well, here's her problem. She doesn't even have her power strip turned on. And he flipped the switch and it lit up. And everything started working again.
Well, then something had to have hit the switch to turn it off.
Or someone.
Okay. Anyway, can we talk about something else?
Yeah, we can. Because you made me a little mad this morning. That's we're just going to fight on this podcast
What did I do this
all day
morning?
long.
I don't even know what I did.
The credit card, Beth. Beth and I had a big
please.
fight over credit cards.
This is a ridiculous fight. Okay.
Well, first of all, it's not what you think. We are not fighting. Some couples fight over money, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. This was not a fight over somebody used a credit card. This isn't a fight over like money at all. This was a fight over Beth's preference to what credit card I should use. As we've talked about, Beth is the points queen. She knows how to milk all these credit cards, get all these points. She gets herself free hotels and travel and stuff all the time. She's great at it. I've told her she needs to do a whole podcast on it. I think there's a lot of people who could learn from you. So fast forward to the last, right now, current time. We're getting ready to do a mission trip to Roatan. Roatan is an island that is off the coast of Honduras. It is part of Honduras. And so we're 10 of us from our church going. So what we do is we purchase the plane tickets on our credit card and then the church reimburses. It's just easier that way. The church doesn't have a credit card. We don't need a credit card at church. We don't feel like having to put our debit card out there. So we just use our credit card and the church reimburses us.
I would never book flights on a debit card. But
I know, that's what I'm saying. So this is just easy. So I simply called Beth this morning and said, Beth, I really need to book these flights. What credit card do you want me to use? And it turned into a 30-minute her yelling at me about credit cards, asking me, I'm driving in the car and she's, what number is on the back of this card? I'm like, I don't even know what card you're talking about. Then she said, I'm going to go through your wallet and take all your cards.
You can't be trusted with them because you get confused all the time. It's not that hard. Mike's filing system, I'll be like, Mike, where's this credit card? He'll be like, oh, let me check my files. It's an envelope and he just stuffs them all in there and he only carries like one or two cards. And this is why I was upset.
If I had my way, I would not carry a card. I love debit cards. I like using a debit card.
It's
the
not
money
protected.
is in my account.
No, don't you remember that time that they accidentally did something and it took forever to get your money back? The bank made a mistake.
I'm a big proponent of using debit cards.
Okay.
I am not. The only reason we use credit cards is for stuff like this, and we pay off our credit cards every month.
But
we pay
yes.
them off. So we're not endorsing credit cards as a running line of credit.
No, absolutely
But
not.
I don't trust myself. I think if I had a credit card, I'm the type of guy that if I want something, I just go buy it.
But I think now life's easy with credit cards because I have all the apps on my phone. I literally check every day. And this is partly because so many people are in our family, but I check every day and I see what is our balance? How much do we owe? What are our pending charges? To make sure there's no fraud,
And let
but
me just
also
say,
to know what I owe.
nothing makes me madder than when you check this credit card. every day.
Okay, this is like, can I even get back to the original
Let
things
me
we're
just
talking
pause.
about before that?
Because you will call me and be like, I'm looking through the charges. Somebody spent 99 cents at the Apple store. Was that you? I don't think it was. Was it one of the kids? I don't know. And I understand you're wanting to go through this with a fine-tooth comb to make sure our credit card hasn't been hacked and to make sure those charges were legit. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like,
Well, do you know why it
Man.
matters? Because you try to catch it. Because that's like that time when mine was stolen, my credit card number, not my card, just my number. Somebody got it when I was traveling. They started off buying something random at like Burger King or somewhere. And so anyway, all I'm trying to do is verify charges. But back to what we originally talked about. This goes, you're talking about me and my age. I want to talk about your age and your memory loss. So this is why
don't
I was...
deflect. We're talking about
No,
the credit card.
It is about the credit card. And this is why I was irritated. And this is the whole point that you missed. Okay, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, you said, which credit card do you want me to put these flights on? I handed you the card and you physically kept the card. But then I went to visit Maria for her birthday. And at some point I would like to talk about Disney and Epic Universe and what they're like. But anyway, for her birthday trip, I was flying American Airlines. I needed that credit card. So I went to your wallet and took it back out. Well, then I get back and today you call and you're like, I need to know
Okay.
what credit card I'm supposed to use.
Okay,
I
I'm
need to know what
glad
to
you
do.
said that because we have this now on a recording. You said, and I quote, let me read back the transcript. I went to your wallet and took it out. I didn't hand it to you.
I told you
didn't
I was
have it
taking it
anymore.
out. I
So it's
told you.
like,
No, but
okay,
what I'm saying is
I'm asking for a card I thought was in my wallet, and I didn't know you took it.
That is not at all what happened. And you were spinning the facts because you called today and you're like, I need to know which
Yeah.
card. You weren't like, I'm looking for the card that's no longer in my wallet. You were like, you were so confused, like we had never had this conversation before. So then all I said was, just give me a minute, let me think. And that was when you're like, oh, why are you getting so mad? Well, I was mad because I gave you the card 3 weeks ago and you kept it. And then you implied, it was the way you phrased it when you called, you said, I need to get these flights booked. I need to know from you which card. Well, guess what? 3 weeks ago, I told you. And if you didn't have your memory lost or whatever, you would have remembered that. So that was why I was irritated.
Well, I'm glad that we had that little flight this morning because now I have to buy one less ticket.
For you or for me?
You.
Oh,
You're banned.
no, I'm going.
Buy your own dang ticket.
No, I'm going. Anyway, okay, I'm glad we got that nice argument out of the way. I wonder if other people have these like silly arguments that drive them insane. This
I don't
is
think
the
it's
seven-
silly. I just called and I was like, hey, you have me so flooded with so many various cards. We have a United card, a American Airlines card, an Apple card, a Target card,
We do not
an
have an
Amazon
Apple card.
card.
No, oh my
I
gosh.
mean, a Citi card, a Chase
The
card.
city card is the American
It's like
card.
every Barclays. It's like you name it, we have it. And so how am I supposed to keep up?
I have a spreadsheet.
God.
I have a spreadsheet that says when I opened it, when I've gotten to my sign up bonus, like when I can close it, what the annual
You know
fee
what?
is. I even keep up with if you really wanted to do this right and maximize our points, you would like, I would label your card and you would use certain cards to buy gas and you'd use a different card to buy groceries. I don't make you do that because I know it overwhelms you.
It does overwhelm me. And I'm going to tell you right now, after we buy these tickets, I'm going to give you back the 2 credit cards that are in my wallet.
Use your debit card?
Yeah, all I need is my debit card.
Okay, I hope your account is in no way affiliated with my account, because then, remember, again, the problem with the debit card is if somebody gets your card number and they get money out of your account, it takes a long time to get the bank to put the money back in.
That was the old days. Now it's pretty
Okay, you also have protections. The credit card that I want you to use gives us travel interruption insurance. It gives us insurance in case the airline loses the bags. So it has insurance attached to it. You don't have that with a debit card. And so that was the other reason that I was like telling you to use the card, is like I wanted to use the one that has the best insurance because it's a mission trip and everybody that is booked on that card should get that insurance in the event, we get stranded or something. Or
maybe I'll just start taking my paycheck and have them pay me in a Visa gift card. And then that'll be it. Because then it'll be like a credit card.
Haven't you seen all the stuff they said about the Visa gift cards, how people are getting them and then they're empty? Like these cards are like, now there's this whole thing out there. If you read about gift cards, like somehow these people have figured out how to sometimes get the cash off the gift card. And so people will get cards and think that they're activated and then they won't have any money on them.
I just feel like paying cash now for everything.
Well, you do that. Go get some pennies while you're at it.
They've stopped making pennies.
And you know what? It made me wonder, because at Disney, they had all those penny machines where you flatten the pennies. Do you think they'll get rid of those? Because eventually we'll run out of pennies.
Now you'll be flattening dimes.
Well, or nickels, because they won't matter. Yeah. But anyway, I do wonder what will happen to those penny machines.
I mean, pennies will still be in circulation.
Yeah, but if everybody keeps flattening them in those machines or putting them on like the railroad track, so the train will flatten them and stuff like that, we'll run out of pennies.
They've stopped making pennies. Are they going to, like banks, when pennies come in, are they going to collect them and just send them to the government?
I don't know. I didn't know what was happening with that, because we still have 1 cent increments and things. So it seems like I don't see how you could just I guess they could to take them out of circulation. I don't know. I have no idea. We'll have to look that up.
I bet places start saying, you know what? If you don't have exact change or you're paying with a credit card, debit card, we're going to round it up to the closest nickel.
They probably will.
So if
that'll just be a way for them to round up
56 cents, you're going to pay 60.
I could see that happening 100%.
I mean, that's what I would do.
Do you want to talk about, too, the argument about the poor dog bed for Cam?
Well, ain't no argument. You bought a bed the size of our king size and got it for Cam, and there's nowhere for us to put it in this house.
So what people don't understand, so we got a new couch because our other couch looked really rough, as in it had a large hole or multiple holes in it.
Now let's talk about that couch for a hot minute.
Okay.
So how long have we had that couch?
I couldn't remember. It's been a while.
We bought it. Maria and I bought it when you were in Africa on one of your trips.
That would have been like
pre-COVID.
2017, I think, or something. That's what I'm thinking.
It was like a January trip. I don't know if you were in Uganda or Kenya at that point.
I think it was like a 2017.
I want to say it was your Kenya trip. But anyhow, you were away. We needed some new living room furniture. So Maria and I went and picked out new living room furniture and surprised you with it.
Right.
And you were cool with it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So then we've had this couch now for 8 years.
Yeah.
I don't know what the lifespan of a couch is. But
in our house, not long.
No.
With the children and the
dogs did chew a little hole in the center cushion.
Well, no, they didn't chew. It was like it got worn, and then I think one of their nails went through it or something. Toenails. I don't know.
But the biggest damage came from Paul Bunyan. Remember? We have a friend. She had an ex-husband. Biggest man I've ever seen in my life. He's like 6'6", 400 pounds. Big dude. He came over for a Super Bowl party one year and sat down in that center seat and broke the like support in it, right?
Yeah.
And so now I tried to fix it as best as I could, and it still never sat right again.
That couch was just in, that.
So the center cushion had a hole in it going to the foam.
It also got bigger as it went.
And it got bigger, and when you sat in it, you kind of sunk down pretty low.
So the couch was really in bad shape.
Yes.
But so the animals, dogs and cats, had gotten used to being on the couch with us. And now...
With you.
Well, with me. Particularly Cam. The cats get on the couch when we're not on the couch. They don't do it when we're there. But Cam is used to sitting in my lap.
We've had to break out the spray bottle to spray the cats.
But what I'm so upset about is Cam doesn't understand right now. So he keeps trying to get up there, and I have to keep saying no and trying to pet him while he sits in the floor. So then I thought, I'd bought previously, we wanted to try to get him to not sit on the couch all the time in the living room because of all the hair. I don't mind on some of the other chairs if he sits, but we were trying to avoid the living room furniture because we have small group and stuff, and we didn't want people to get hair all over them. Well, I bought a big bed, and Reese took the bed. Even though she already has a bed in her crate, she took his bed. So then today I went to buy another bed, and Cam's a big dog, so I thought he would need a big bed. And now you and Josh are just like, where are we going to put it? And y'all think it's too big.
Well, that's a legitimate question. Where would we put it?
In the living room, right over there somewhere.
Right over where? Show me where.
Like where the dog dishes are.
Yeah, she's pointing to places where there's already
Well, we just move all that. I don't know. Anyway.
So you were away, and I went and bought a new couch and surprised
And it looks awesome.
So I want to say I like that part of our relationship. I think there's a lot of ladies who would not want their husbands going and picking out couches for them. And so I've done it twice, and you've been happy both times.
Yeah, they've been great. This one looks awesome. And actually, I think the other thing is it would probably stress me out more to try to pick it out. I feel like I'm overwhelmed.
doing you a favor.
You are. And so for me, it's just a relief to come and be like, oh, we have a new couch. Surprise. It looks great. I'm happy.
And I just walked in the store and saw it. I was like, all right, I'll take that, and I'll take that ottoman. Done.
Yeah.
And bought it.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of things like that I appreciate that you do. But I think you're right. I think a lot of people, particularly women, probably would really want to be involved in the decorating. I'm not very good at decorating.
You're not what we call domestic.
No, I'm not. Yeah, because now that we think about it, what can I do that's domestic? I mean, I can't decorate. I can't knit or crochet or sew.
You can apply for a credit card really well.
Yes, I could do that. Yeah, I guess I bring other skills to the relationship, but I can load the dishwasher now that in a way that you sort of approve of. I can do laundry. So, yeah, I mean, but yeah, most things like that I'm not very good at. But I did. I love the couch. I love the ottoman. I think it looks fabulous.
Yeah. So our son is texting us.
Yes.
Where are we going to go eat? So this is our life. So
okay. Yeah. Do you want me to read so Jacob's surprising us by coming home, which we're super excited about.
Oh, there you go. You just blew my story.
Sorry.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say.
So first of all, this started another fight because
oh gosh, here we go.
Jacob texts today and he's like, "Hey, I'm coming home." Now, mind you, he lives in South Carolina now, 4 hours away. And we're like, "Huh?" And he's like, "I'm coming home. I'll be home around 5." He's like, "Can we do dinner?" And what happened was they gave him the weekend off. So he had the weekend off work, and he didn't want to stay down there by himself. He wanted to come see the family, which is great. So he's coming up. So I call him to ask him about it, and he says, well, I told Mom yesterday. So I was like, Beth, why didn't you tell me?
No, the conversation, the way it went, he said he might go to Boone. He might come home at some point, but he's trying to decide when he would come home because he hasn't been home in a while. And so I was just trying to figure out with him. I never heard him say, I am coming home tomorrow.
We'll find out. He'll be here in about 8 minutes.
Okay. That should be fun.
I'm going to ask him about that and find out what really happened there.
But you were saying, here's our life. And our life is then, and we don't even have Maria in here to throw it off, but he's like, do you want, because then she would be like, I don't want 99% of what you have. So he's like, do you want 66 Dario Clarks or whatever? Josh said, you pick. Jacob said, no, because I gave you 4 options. Josh said, not 66, but that left the other 3 options. Then he said, well, what about East Coast or Palenque? So anyway, I'm thinking Mad Greek.
I don't know. I don't care.
Oh, anyway, so we have to decide where we're eating. So it's like, so the whole family text stream gets a lot of text and blows up our phone because we can't all decide where to eat.
Yeah.
It's very challenging to be us.
So now this boy will be home here in just a little bit.
And I'm so excited about it. So future podcast too, I do want to talk about, I really want to talk one, I still need to do the Disney, but I could probably do like a Universal and Epic Universe discussion along with that. And then the other thing is I can do one on the credit cards. There's probably better, more experienced people, but I could do one for the people who listen to us and want to know what I do. I can do that too.
Yeah. So should we just end the podcast short? It's only 25 minutes. Or do we pause and then come back and finish it? Because I'll tell you what I would like to talk about. And this got me thinking with the purchase of the couch and then the credit card discussion you and I had this morning. Mm-hmm. I would like for us to talk about privacy between couples. Mm-hmm. Like, it got my wheels got to turning thinking about shared credit cards, shared bank accounts. We both have friends that keep totally separate bank accounts. Mm-hmm. They're like, I don't want my wife to know I bought this. The wife's like, I don't want my husband to know I bought this. There's like some deception there. Mm-hmm. And then it led me to start thinking I should start a whole segment every week. I'm a Reddit fan. We've talked about that.
Right.
And there is a great Reddit forum. It's just simply called Marriage. And I like to read it for the ridiculousness of what people post. And I've read you a few of them, and you're like, why do people write that? This morning, the one I read had to do with the husband's teeth have destroyed their intimacy.
What?
The man has bad teeth, and he's never wanted to get them fixed. And he only has 7 real teeth, and he wears dentures, and he never cleans his dentures, and his mouth stinks. And so the wife is like, I don't like it. It has destroyed any kind of physical intimacy. She was like, I don't want to hug him. I don't want to kiss him. I don't want to do any of this. So then she asked Reddit, what should I do? And so that's what I'm there for. I like to read those ridiculous situations and then read the funny comments. Because most of the time they're not trying to be funny, but the solutions are just as stupid as the question.
Right.
And like you said, like I've read them to you and you're like, why are people going on Reddit writing this?
And that is the thing I think that shocks me the most. It's like, why wouldn't you want to maybe talk to a close friend or trusted person or something like that? Yeah. I mean, it just.
But every day, and I mean every day, somebody will write something. Either from the husband or the wife's side, it happens equally. I went through my wife's phone and I found this. I went through my husband's phone while he was in the shower and I saw this. And as always, stuff having to do with obviously coworkers or old flames or whatever. And, but there's just like this level of secrecy, in a lot of marriages that I think is harmful. I don't think we have that at all. At least there's not on my end.
Well, except you think I was keeping secrets about Jacob coming home. But
the kids do rat you out. Oh. And so
that wasn't a secret. That was a confusion. But anyway, yeah, we can talk about that. So let's hit pause.
Yeah. So I'll just set the stage as we come back. Like for Beth and I, at least on my end, I don't want to speak for her. We'll see what she says in a minute. My bank account, we have a shared bank account, which is like kind of we use for savings. She has her checking account. I have my checking account, but it's all with the same bank. And you can log on and look at any of it at any time. So even though we have our separate checking accounts, it's just easier just because her paycheck gets deposited, mine deposited in checking and whatnot. And then we put it into savings. But I'm an open book. She can open up my bank account at any time and see every penny I've spent on my debit card. And I've just told you, I love debit cards. She is the control freak when it comes to our credit cards. So I could not even I couldn't buy a pack of gum on a credit card without her knowing I bought that pack of gum and her asking me about it.
But I never ask and say, why did you spend this much money? I've never asked that.
No.
I just confirmed that you really made the purchase, so I know that it's legitimate.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think I'm frugal. I am not a person that blows money. I don't even buy stuff. I just don't. All my clothes are old. Stuff I buy new is from Kohl's that is when it's like 80% off. So that money thing. But the other thing is my phone and email. If you opened up any computer right now in the house, it's logged in to my Gmail account.
Right.
You can go through and read any email I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
My Facebook is always logged in. You can go and read any Facebook messages I've ever had. My phone, she knows the password. And so she can log into my phone at any point and look at anything. But I don't think there's a lot of couples like that. Mm-hmm. So we're going to talk about that when we come back. But right now we're going to hit pause. We're going to go meet our son for dinner, and then we'll wrap this up.
I was just saying, he thinks...
Oh, all right. We are back. Just went to dinner with Jacob. How was that, Beth?
Wonderful. It was very good to catch up and hear about his job and everything.
It had been 5 whole weeks since you saw him. How did you live? How did you survive that?
I don't know. I mean, it's been brutal. Because when Maria moved...
some parents go months, 5 years.
I know.
Longer. He was just gone 5 weeks.
But it's very hard. It's very, very hard. It's hard to adjust. I don't know. I mean, it just feels weird, not having all the kids here and having them in all the different places and no, I don't know. At least when they're in your home, I feel like you can know they're okay, because even if they're grumpy or something, you're like, oh, well, they're home and they're safe or they're okay, or I can check in and know how they are. And you see them. It's just hard when they're not there and you don't hear from them, especially if they go a few days and you don't hear from them.
Yeah, for me, it's out of sight, out of mind.
Okay, are you serious?
Yeah.
I think about the kids every day. I think about, I wonder what they're doing. And, or I'll see things.
Is that why you stalk them on Life 360?
Yes, that's definitely why I stalk them. I stalk them to see if they're still alive sometimes, because sometimes they don't text us back, as you're aware.
Well, speaking of stalking, let's revisit the subject we had before we had to take that brief break. Stalking. Have you ever been tempted to stalk my email, phone,
Not
purchases?
Really.
You have, your female friends, do they talk about, what's their life like? Separate checking accounts? Do they share passwords with their husbands or significant others? Do they,
I haven't talked about it a lot, at least not recently, but I do know a lot of the people I've talked to seem to do a lot of things separate, but a lot of my friends too got married later, so they kind of, I guess, grow more independently, both the people in the couple, well, not a lot of them, but the ones I've talked to about this. I don't know, but it seems like there are more people that keep things really separate or talk about this is one person's money versus the other. It kind of goes back to that whole conversation too of letting people do stuff. I don't think we really,
You don't think that's a lack of trust?
Well, it does.
Why would you not be open with all your finances with your spouse?
Right.
Why hide something?
I don't know, because we don't. That's why I can't the only time I've ever wanted to hide anything, this is the only time we have, it's if we're trying to buy gifts for each other and it's oh, we want to surprise you, so don't look at Amazon to see what was ordered. But I don't have
Like
any
I know of
reason.
spouses that have had secret bank accounts
Oh,
that
gosh.
they bank at a different bank so their spouse doesn't know.
See, I don't
that
get
crazy?
that
I
unless
mean-
you're having maybe trouble or thinking you might want to leave or something. You know, I don't know. I don't know why you would need to do that unless you're feeling like you have to have a backup contingency plan or something.
I don't know. This seemed like a happily married couple. I didn't really see anything wrong with them, but I mean,
Oh.
I'm just saying it's, or, we bring up like phones, like, do you think your spouses, the spouses of your friends, do you think your friends freely would turn their phone over to their spouse, and do you think their spouse freely has it just open? Like what I was saying, like I know the password to your phone, you know the password of
Yeah,
mine. We
yeah.
leave them laying around the house all the time
Yeah.
without us being around them.
Yeah.
Either one of us could pick them up and look through it, but we do
Or I
that.
tell you too sometimes, I'm like, here, text this like if I'm driving or something, I hand the phone to you, like text this person. So
But
I mean, you could look
we
at
know
everything.
people who
would not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess people could argue it's like privacy, like you need some things that are just yours and that are private. But I guess on the flip side, we don't go looking. Like, I mean, I have one thing that's great about your email being open is there's been 1 or 2 times when like I've needed to know something that I know you got the email for, and I can go check your email really quickly and get it, so that it's just helpful. I think it just makes things more streamlined for us. It's not, I don't know. I mean, I don't go snooping in your stuff. I have no reason to. I only go if like I need something, but just the act of like knowing that it's there, I guess is a good thing.
I think it just
Shows
opens
trust.
the door for deception.
Oh, to have it not shared or
Yeah,
whatever.
like you're it's like even if you're not hiding something, it almost feels like you are. And as a spouse, I wouldn't want that.
Because you could be.
Yeah.
I guess. So it's like, oh, well, what
Yeah.
are they hiding if they
Yeah,
don't?
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the enemy's going to jump in and plant seeds all in
of
there.
doubt
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
There's that. I don't know. I was thinking about, like I said, with the purchase of the couch, you didn't care. I mean, you barely asked me what it cost. I mean, it was just
I don't
like
think
you were
I
happy
did
to get
ask
it.
what it cost. I just asked where you got it. Like
Yeah.
if you got to get, I still don't know what it cost.
And,
Yeah. You might have
yeah.
told me, but it's already I've forgotten. So yeah.
Yeah, thinking through that, and like I said, thinking through the credit card stuff and all. I mean, and I think the pendulum can also swing. I tell you who else I hate.
Oh boy.
I don't say I hate. I don't hate them as a person. I hate this kind of thing. Is the couples that have the same Facebook accounts or the same email addresses.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like
Beth and Mike.
yeah,
Or
like you can't email one of them.
Yeah.
Like, like I may just want to email the husband and I know they have one email account.
Yeah.
Like emails cost $1,000 a day or something.
Yeah.
You could have 365 emails. It don't matter. Like, email addresses.
Well,
But
I have
why?
multiple email accounts, You
You have multiple Facebook accounts.
I do not. That's some like spammer person trying to like get you to friend them. I only have one Facebook, but I do have, a few emails because when I was blogging and writing, you helped me set that one up. I have that email, and then I needed that for the account and everything, and then I have now that I'm officially have a title at Re3, I have that email account, and I have my personal email and my work email and my where I teach email. And so
Yeah.
I've got like 6 emails. So to your point, they're free. So it is easy to do that. Yeah.
I have emailed somebody before wanting to email the husband, and the wife responds.
Right. And that
And
does
I'm
feel
like,
odd.
what are you doing? Like, I'm not even talking to you.
But that also feels odd because you don't know who's going to read it. And not that I would be saying, but there might be something that you're like, oh, I just wanted to email this one person, but you don't know who will get it when it's shared like that. Yeah.
I may want to say something about his wife. Like, why is your wife being so nosy? Sometimes I want to email something just to make him mad.
Just to like stir the pot
Yeah.
and instigate, cause
Be
some
like,
trouble.
hey man, what happened to that girl you were talking to at work?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would definitely stir the pot and make
Something
some
like that.
problems.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Still
Yeah.
thinking about divorcing your wife? Something like that. Let his wife read it.
Yeah, let's not do that. Yeah, I don't know. it's an interesting thing because I think for us, we've done this for so many years. I think it also goes back to like, though, well, I mean, we didn't have very much when we got married, so we had so little. Then I think
it's easy to share nothing.
Well, right. We had nothing. And a joint bank account was a necessity because we had so little between us, because you were working as a youth pastor and I was in law school, and neither one of us had enough to pay any set amount of bills independently. So we had to have our shared savings account. And then the only reason we had the separate checking was to write the checks and to do things. But we needed that so we'd know how little money we had, because it was more like, I got to make sure that I don't overdraw and like my account, and like go in the negative. So we had to have that. So I think part of it for us though, it's kind of the way we started. And then now that we do have more than we did when we started, it just still makes sense to do it that way. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I think it also goes back to, I guess there's different ways people view things, but we just view everything as ours. I do have friends that I've heard talk about, like I said, like this is my spending money versus his spending money or something. Like you and I don't do that. Like if you need or want something, you get it. But I think there's
times to budget that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
If you're a family on a fixed income, and let's say you pull both paychecks into one account,
right?
And literally you're like, you know what? We need almost all this to pay all our bills, but here's $50 for you and here's $50 for me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or something to be able
we did early on. Yeah, that's what we had to
fine.
do.
Then I don't have to tell you. It's almost like budgeting at a business. Like if I give you this budget, spend it on what you got to, but don't.
Well, that was early on because didn't we get like $80 a month or something, and that had to last us? It was something crazy back then. That was like our gas and our food and everything, and so we would give that to each other so that, because to your point too, I didn't want to have to like call you and be like, I'm getting gas or something, so it's almost like a business, you have a budget and you give the department their set budget amount that they requested, and you have to trust that they're going to spend it on something wise. But then once they've spent it, they've spent it. Yeah. I think the other thing is just the whole, like with the ideas of like trust and spending, it even goes for us though. I mean, within reason, now that the kids are in college, we're having to pay. There are times though we have to talk to each other. Of course, with, like you said, big purchases, it's not like you're going to just go buy a car and we're not going to talk about it, because I might tell you, hey, it looks like we have a lot of money in the account right now, but I'm getting ready to pay, both kids' tuition.
On that, because you do that to me all the time.
I do.
You're always like, it may look like there's a lot of money in the account, but I'm getting ready so don't go make any big purchases. When have I ever made a big purchase?
You haven't, but
I know, but it's like you tell me that.
Because I'm just afraid that the first time that I don't tell you, you're going to be like, oh, wow, we've got a lot in there. And I'm like, nope, we don't, because that's like Jacob and Maria's college tuition and room and board or whatever. I think you have to find what works. And I think that's the thing. I could see how if you aren't aligned in how you spend, though, our model wouldn't work. And the reason I say that is like you and I are both frugal. Like, that I go, like the latest purse I just got was the same purse that Maria and all of her Disney friends bought. And so that it's very expensive. It was like $20 on Amazon, so like I don't go and buy like a $400 bag, like some people do. So we are aligned in that we're both frugal. So I think that's another thing that helps with the trust is like, we know each other's spending habits. We kind of, I think, intuitively know what the threshold would be that you have to talk about it. Otherwise, I mean, I don't care. And I don't mean that in an ugly way, but I just trust you to spend on what you need or want. And I want you, and I hope you want me to have that freedom to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think it would be harder if one of us was like a big spender and one wasn't.
Yeah, I think that's what I see in the counseling I do with couples.
Yeah.
When money is an issue, that's usually it. There's usually one that's probably could loosen up a little
Yeah,
more.
maybe they're a little too stressed about money.
And the other one is just bye.
Right.
Don't even think about it.
Right.
You know,
And they probably need to meet in the
They
middle
need
and
to
balance
somehow
each other
meet
out.
in the middle. But I think that's when a joint account would help. You know, I mean, I think that would
Yeah.
loosen them up a little bit, but also help keep them reined in. I think it's when you have those private accounts, the hoarder gets to kind of control whatever
Right.
he or she wants to control. The other one can spend whatever they want,
Yeah.
and their spouse will never know.
Right. Well, and I couldn't imagine having to call, like I said, and be like, I'm going to go, out and purchase this. That would just feel, I think, strange to be like, oh, I've got to get permission, to buy some shoes or to buy the kids something. That would feel odd to me based on the way we do it. But I think it is about alignment and communication. And also, I mean, to the extent you can live within your means and then budget, because that's the other piece. I think some people just don't have a head for understanding. I mean, this is one thing we're working with the kids on. Like right now, we have young adults. And so they just look and they're like, okay, I have to pay this for my rent, for my lease, this for my car payment. But they're not factoring in when your tires go, you're going to have to pay what for a whole set of tires? Or, if something goes wrong on your car and you have to fix it, or your computer dies and you need a new computer, they aren't factoring in those extra expenses. And I think that's the other thing. I think some people just, it's harder for them to kind of do that. And I think that's when it's really helpful to do things like a budget where you sit down and write down everything, that you spend and everything you anticipate you'll spend. And that's why too, they tell you to try to have some savings. But now one thing you and I are a little different on, we had a few years ago, we had a lot of spending we had to do. We had like everything broke, every car, everything at the house. We just had a lot of things that happened when the kids were in college, that a lot of unexpected expenses. Now that did stress me out, like having to dip into my savings. It's like, I feel like I have to have the savings there as a safety net. But the whole point of having a savings is to have it for those things, I mean,
Dave Ramsey calls it your rainy day fund.
Right.
When rain's going to come at some point.
Right. But it stresses me out not to have it. You know how that was for me. That was a very stressful time for me. You were better at being kind of chill about it and like, we'll build it back up. But that was hard.
Yeah.
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 I don't know. I just got to thinking about that. I think a lot of, I don't know, maybe it comes down to trust. Trust in your spouse.
Most things. Yeah. I mean, I think
communication.
That's what
Trust and communication.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
I think it is those two things. I think and I think that's the other thing. I think sometimes the spouses do trust each other, but they don't talk. And I think that's the other thing you and I have both seen in like counseling and trying to help friends that have had issues. Like I can't count how many times like both spouses might have talked to us at different times and they're saying things. And in the end, it seems like that they think that they're fighting or at odds with each other, but really they're aligned. But they don't just say those things to each other. And that's the thing that I don't understand is like how much pain could be avoided if someone would just say, I wish that we could do this, or I feel like you're, controlling me too much with the money, or I feel like whatever. If they could talk about it, I think that opens the door. I do know some people aren't open to talking, but oftentimes I think we see people where both of them, I think, want to work on things, but then they just don't say it to each other. They say it to us, but they don't say it to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, again, I'm bringing up again, the Reddit marriage. I don't know how many times people will just get on there and blah, 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 blah. And people will be like, here's an idea. Why don't you try talking to your spouse about it? Have you tried talking to your spouse? No.
Yeah, they'll talk to
it's like, why are you coming to Reddit to ask complete strangers, most of them morons, what to do with your marriage? And you won't even just go talk to your spouse.
Well, and this isn't just marriages. As an employment lawyer, I see this all the time. Like I will have a leader or manager that will come and say, I'm just done with Mike. You know, he's late all the time. He rolls his eyes. He's disrespectful. He, doesn't treat his coworkers well. He's not professional, yada, yada, yada. They'll list off all these things. And they will say, everybody in the department knows it. You know, we've all talked about it. But then when you ask the question, has anyone talked to Mike about it? Mm-hmm. Usually the answer is no, because it's uncomfortable. So people don't want to have the hard conversations. But really, it's not, I mean, of course, I want them to have those hard conversations as an employment lawyer, because that helps document, usually a jury's going to want to see if you fired somebody that they were at least aware of what the problem was. Same thing, I guess, could be said for a marriage. If you're, going towards separation or divorce, hopefully you would have talked about it before you got that far down that road. But also, sometimes we've seen situations where they talk to the people and the person's truly just kind of clueless and not aware. And when you go and tell them, you're offending your coworkers when you make jokes like this, or, you're coming off as being a jerk, essentially. I mean, of course, you could say it in a more professional way, but if you say that, sometimes people actually change their behavior in response to that. So again, it's just that if you have the conversation and communicate, it can make such a huge difference.
Yeah. Communication.
Yeah. It's so hard. I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of communication, I communicated with someone today, a blast from the past, a good friend of mine. I credit him in my testimony of being the one that got me in the ministry. I mean, if you go all the way back, mm-hmm. I got stuck in a class in high school as, I think it was a senior, maybe a junior, and junior, senior. And anyway, I didn't have any of my friends in there. It wasn't a class I picked. It was just a random elective class. And this guy was in there. And so because I didn't have anybody, and we just kind of gravitated toward one another and became just great, great friends. I was in his wedding. He was in mine. He went into ministry. So he was, he's not normally around our area. He was around our area, visiting his mom and with her. And so he reached out, and we went and had lunch today, and I got to go take him to our church and the Hope Center and kind of show him what all we were doing. But it was just fun just sitting there and just sharing stories like of high school, because I've said before, like, I didn't enjoy high school. That is not 4 years of my life I would ever want to relive.
Same for me. I think high school was probably the worst 4 years of my life. Yeah. It was terrible.
Now, if I could know now, if I knew then what I know now, then I could go back in time and change some of it. But if they were like, there's people who never left high school, it's like, that's their glory days. But my buddy Chris and I were talking today about it, and, he made the comment, he was like, what do you think it is about like the good old days? He said, and he's married. He's got, I think, 4 kids. At least one of them's married, and they're expecting. So he's expecting his first grandchild, which sounds totally weird because he's like a year younger than me. But he's like, what do you think it is about like the good old days? And I told him, I never really thought about it before, but it just kind of came out. I said, I think for me is I didn't appreciate the good old days, like the moments that were good. Like high school itself was not fun. But when I got to know him, and we were talking about times with me and him and 2 or 3 other guys that we used to hang around a lot with, we were just sharing stories and memories and laughing and, whatever. It was like, those were fun times. And as a 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old, you're not in the moment. And so I think I told him, I said, I think that's what it's for me when I think back is I wish I had appreciated those times more. And we talked about, you have this small window of your life when you're old enough to make your own decisions, but yet you don't have any responsibilities yet,
mm-hmm.
And he was like, you have this freedom that's different than any other time in your life. And we said, it's not like we don't have freedom now. We have freedom to do whatever we want, but we have responsibilities, So we have to use our freedoms within the boundaries of our responsibilities. But when you're 18, 19, you can kind of do what you want, and you don't really have you don't have a spouse, you don't have kids most of the time. You're not working at a job that's going to be your career. You just have this freedom. And so, I don't know, we talked about that some today, but it was just kind of cool to reconnect.
But I think the other thing though, but I was thinking as you're talking, well, a few things. One is, when you're in high school and young, all you're thinking about is how much better it's going to be in the future. You're so future focused, that's why you're not in the moment and can't appreciate what you have in front of you and you can't understand the freedom you have because you think, since your parents can still control some of what you do or tell you what to do, or adult figures can, whether that be parents or teachers, you feel like you don't have freedom. You feel very caged in, I think, when you're like middle school, high school, young, So I think a lot of kids do. They think, when I'm an adult and I have my own money and I can make my own decisions and my own house or whatever, and I think you also are spending a lot of time in high school and college during that time when you have the quote freedom, worrying about things like what kind of job are you going to have, like that's I think part of the thing that's so, I don't know, just crazy about life is like when you have that freedom and you are in the quote good old days, you don't feel like you have the freedom and you're so future focused. I think now though that we're 50, we now are backwards focused, because we don't, I'm sadly to say, not to say we don't have a future, but the world is not wide open to us with all the opportunities like it is when you're younger. So I feel like we're spending more time looking back, and reflecting on things, which is also preventing us right now from being in this moment because we're looking back at like those times.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just an interesting dynamic. The other thing, it's funny that you were talking about that with him. I don't know why I thought about this. Something came up.
You have a friend from high school you see quite often.
Yeah.
You and her will go out. Yeah, you'll go out and have dinner. And
we try to meet once a month.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, do y'all ever get together and talk about good old days? Like bring up stories and laugh and talk about how stupid y'all were?
Most of the time, no, because I think that's one thing that's different is because we are trying to get together routinely. Like, I think when I run into somebody that I haven't seen and talked to in a while, yes, we bring up those good old days. Like now, unfortunately, we're talking about sometimes like somebody that might have died or, we're at that age where things are happening, but we're also talking about good things like so-and-so has a grandchild, but to your point, when I do see people from a long time ago, we will tell some of those funny stories or whatever and think about those times.
Chris brought up a story I had totally forgotten. He talked to the house next door to me had a basketball court in their backyard. Like the dad poured he made it a true basketball court. It was half court, poured concrete, walled it off, and so his son was my sister's age. So quite a bit young, about 6 years younger than us. But the guy was super cool, the husband and wife that lived there, and they were always like, come on over and play, like anytime y'all want. So my friends and I would play basketball at my next door neighbor's house all the time. And so Chris and I were talking about that today, playing basketball over there and how fun it was. And he goes, who was that friend of yours? He was like, I can't remember his name. He had a thumper tattoo on his ankle. Oh. I was like, Brian. He was like, yeah, Brian. He was like, I remember that time Brian broke his ankle. And I totally forgot that we were playing basketball one time. But it's weird how like worlds collide where Brian and Chris and me, you know what I'm saying? And I was in... And Chris was like, I wonder what happened to that guy. I was like, well, he comes to my church now. And Chris was like, really? He's like, oh.
The other thing that's weird is like the things you forget that somebody else remembers. Because sometimes I'm like, did that even happen?
Can I make a confession real quick?
Yeah.
Oh, you go ahead. You got something.
I was just because I couldn't remember, but it was funny because my mom found Josh is into what does he call it? Physical media. And so my mom found some old cassette tapes, and so she found one. One of my friends had taken. This is back in the day when I guess I didn't have the money to buy Debbie Gibson's tape, so my friend, recorded Debbie Gibson's tape, and she wrote on there, you're the greatest friend, and put who it was to and from. And I think now that was in middle school, and I just think about too, like to your point, that was somebody in middle school that I was really good friends with that like then you never talked to again. And I remember when I was younger and we would go out somewhere and my parents would run into somebody and I'd be like, who is that? And they might be like, oh, that was my best friend when I was in high school. And I'd be like, why aren't you talking to them now? Why haven't you talked to them in 20 years or whatever? You don't understand how life just kind of gets in the way.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have had seasons of best friends.
Yeah.
Seasons where these people have been. Chris, who I met with today, there was a season where I would have said he was my best friend.
Yeah.
We were inseparable.
Right.
And just hung out all the time. Like I said, he was in my wedding. I was in his. And, he got married and moved away and we just kind of lost touch. But I was really glad he reached out and we hung out today because we hung out for a couple hours and it was really nice.
But I think that's another cool thing for people is just just taking the chance and reaching out, because sometimes people will pop up in your mind and you'll be like, oh, it's been too long. It would be weird if I message them. I don't think it is. I think for most people, it's a pleasant surprise when somebody that you haven't heard from in a long time, like reaches out and says hi or says, I was thinking of you. Like, I think that's a cool thing. I think it's a way to stay connected. And that's like, we talk about all the bad things that have happened due to social media, but that is one of the good things. You can find people and then, reconnect, which is a really neat thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. Another thing I'll drop on you real quick. So there's this company, I think it's called Pod, I don't know, CEO. I don't know, something like SEO, Pod SEO or something like that, right? This is not an endorsement of this company. I'm just telling you who it is. When you do anything, podcasting, blogging, whatever, to optimize your product, the initials are SEO, and it's escaping me right now. I know the O's optimization, but is how you get out there. So if you go to Google, you type in something, let's say, I'd like to podcast about marriage, right? We want to have enough of those in like key trigger words scattered in our titles and our descriptions that it will come up, right? So it's a service where you pay them like $20 a month and they will, monitor your account and then give you words that, hey, look, this is how this would do better.
Like those word collages that people used to do when they're like, when we're thinking of Mike, we think of instigator, fun.
Yeah.
It's pulling out our words.
It will help you optimize, right? Like, all right, it'll look at your transcript. I'm sure it's all AI type stuff, but they pull out things and they offer you suggestions so you can add these keywords to your title, your description, or whatever it may be, so that you get bumped up in the algorithm and people find you.
Right.
So to get you to, and they send me like once a month, they'll send me an email like, hey, would you like us to 7 days free of our service? And they always say like, in Apple or in Spotify, here's where you rank, and
in Indonesia, we're
Singapore.
Singapore. Sorry,
what were we? I can't remember what we were.
60 something for parenting or
parenting in Singapore for whatever. Well, I've got one even better. This is pretty cool.
Okay.
According to this company, for people who you go to a podcast and you type in whatever it is you want to look for on Apple. People who go to Apple Podcasts, if you type in marriage and ministry, we're number 4.
Ooh.
That's big.
We're right behind, I don't know, I can't think of any big mega pastors and their wives.
Well,
right
I mean,
now,
I
but I'm
like to think of Joel Osteen.
Oh,
and
yeah.
What's his wife?
Is it
Victoria, yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
Andy Stanley
Yeah,
and
Andy and his wife, and they're
Don't know who else.
yeah. So Joel and Victoria is probably one. Then you got
Andy.
the Stanleys, and then we'll just say maybe the Furdicks,
Yeah. And then us.
and then us.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of neat
That is
that
kinda
we're number 4.
Yeah.
Now, for whatever reason, in Spotify, we were like 30 some for that, but still, that's still pretty good.
Yeah, that is really cool.
So yeah, so we have listeners.
And it's like intuitively, I knew this because I'm wearing my, I forgot what shirt I had on, and it's my I Love Jesus, but I cuss a little shirt. And I just put it on today, and I went out, and like I got so many comments like, I like your shirt.
Did
and
you?
people were just staring at me like, what is she wearing? And I'm like, why are they staring at me? And then I realized, oh, I've got that shirt on. Yeah. So we're probably like not quite the same type of listening experience as the other 3
Maybe
we just
not.
named.
Maybe a little edgier.
Yeah, just slightly. But we don't cuss on our podcast. We're very family friendly.
Well, and you make me edit out some stuff.
Yes, because
The other week, I'll give you a peek behind the curtain. I told a story, and Beth lost her mind.
I was like, "There's no way
She was
you're
shaking
putting
her
this out
head,
there."
and I told this story. And after it's over, she was like, "Nope,"
Yep.
and I had to go cut that out of the podcast. It's one of the few times I've had to edit, but whatever it was, Beth thought it was so over the line.
Yep, I was like, "There's no way I'm going to let you put that out there."
She was convinced we would get canceled. in a
Yes,
heartbeat.
I was like, "Cancel culture. They're going to get us if you put that out there. You can't."
Yeah. So maybe we should gosh, what is that service? It starts with a P. It's like Pantheon or something like that, where people can pay and get like we'll call it Hey, Are You Still There After Dark? Or something like that. and we'll do like the edited stuff that behind the wall you have to pay to hear
We have to
Beth
start-
cuss and my edited stories that Beth makes me take out.
But I was going to say, we'd have to start actually editing because you've only edited like that one time, so we'll have to actually
I think
start
there was another
editing it.
time you were like, you can't say that.
Yeah,
And you
there
made me
probably
go
was.
take it out.
Yeah, but it hasn't been much. I mean, this is raw, people. Let me tell you, this is raw, raw, like in real. We are not editing most of our content.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember what it was. I used the word deport one time.
Yeah.
And I didn't even mean it in the way that we know
Yes.
deportation now. And when
Yeah.
it was over, you were like, nope,
Nope. Mm-hmm.
take that word out.
Yep.
And I'm
It's
like,
like-
Beth, that's not even how I meant it. And she was like, nope,
It doesn't
that is
matter.
a trigger word.
It is just like now with like some of the things that are happening, like, there's certain words and it's like, if AI sees it, it doesn't matter that the word has a completely different meaning. Even if you pull out good old Webster's dictionary, it doesn't matter. So it's like,
Mm-hmm. But
there's
yeah, it had nothing to do with immigration, politics. I didn't know. It was so like not an issue. But Beth was like, nope,
Nope,
we are not having that. You would have thought I was dropping just cuss words in here or whatever, or talking about people's mamas. You're like, we ain't having that word in my podcast.
that's right, my podcast
That's
now.
right.
It's
And
my
and
podcast.
and it's really mine.
So, are we going to have a survey like about people if they share bank accounts or something or share passwords?
Yeah, that's what we'll do. Yeah, I'll come up with a survey. I'll come up with something like with your partner. Do you share? And they can vote multiple times.
Yeah, like
I'll have them vote,
passwords but you're going to have to be clear in the question because you know how we have these people who haven't listened to the podcast yet and then they overthink it or misread it and they'll be like, well, no, I don't share my password with my entire family. And what we're going to mean is, would you let a spouse or significant other know your password? That kind of thing. That we'll have to phrase it in a way they understand it.
There's still gonna be people.
It's just like that time with our like, what are you going to bring to the apocalypse kind of thing? What skills and people read it like they were voting what they thought I would bring or something as opposed to what they individually would bring. I don't know. It was funny.
No, we'll blame that on maybe my bad wording.
No.
I'll take the bullet. You know what what I would like to maybe do one week is we have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And our podcasts, when they go out in the podcast land, they get sent everywhere. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, whatever,
Oh, are we going to
Podbean.
video this?
Yes.
So people can see my hands
and
in
it
motion.
goes to YouTube.
Yeah.
But I think it would be fun one week to do a video only. Like I tested it. It works with the mics. Everything's great. But you and I just sit here and just do a video only podcast and put it out on YouTube.
Can everybody see how regal Cam is? Can we let him be
I'm not
in it
saying we're
briefly?
going to have any guest stars. There's the cat clawing up our new couch.
Oh no. Okay, got to get the spray bottle. Anyway, yeah. Keep going.
Beth's running to get the spray bottle to spray. Poor Snips. He just took off.
Well, I still had to spray just in case because now he doesn't even like to see the bottle.
I don't like to see it.
Yeah. We've got to protect that couch.
We can. So now we got to figure out a good place to do it. Like where would we set the camera up? What would be
As
a nice
opposed to
background?
like this kitchen table that we're sitting at.
Yeah, we don't want to be here. This looks
Yeah.
kinky.
Well, especially with our walls behind it that need to be painted because like the kids' greasy handprints and stuff are on it, it looks like. Yeah. Yeah, we have to find somewhere much classier. Maybe if we could figure out how to do it on our new couch.
Yeah, we could do
That
that.
would be nice. Our new couch and ottoman so people could see the newest best thing in our house.
Yeah.
As opposed
before
to
it gets destroyed by kids and pets.
pets. Yes, exactly. People doing flips over the back of it or whatever and pets all over it. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's about it for this week. Thanks for hanging in there for both parts.
Yep. This is Mike and Beth.
All right. We'll see you later. Bye.